Chapter 92, Honey, can you lend me some money to play show hand? Mommy Lin watched Su Cheng and her daughter sitting there, side by side, and she sighed, I just wish he could take on the responsibility of a man and be good to Nicole. He will. I feel that after not seeing him for so many years, he became more confident than before. We should look forward to the future. Big brother Su's son will be the same kind of man as his dad, a man with big balls. If you want to ask why Su Cheng's dad had big balls, it was enough just knowing that he was able to get the precious daughter of the Ye family to fall in love with him and bear his child. Even more, he also dared to run away with the precious daughter of the Ye family and get her to give birth to the child. Just these 2 points alone were enough for Su Cheng to boast for his entire life. You should have seen the face on the head of the Ye family. He was so pissed that he devoted his whole life to chasing Su Cheng's dad, trying to kill him. When another round was dealt, before Tevei could even see his hand, Su Cheng already threw in his big pile of chips and it almost hit Tevei. Tevei's could not be more pissed. Why is this guy so arrogant and balls deep? I didn't even check my hand yet. To be frank, in Su Cheng's words, it went something like this, don't bother looking. Before you even touch your cards, I already know what you have. Tevei looked at his hand and snorted. You're always playing like this, you aren't afraid of your boat flipping one day. Nonchalantly, Su Cheng snorted. Up to you if you want to raise with me. Then, Tevei stared at Su Cheng for a while, very much wanting to see if Su Cheng really had a good hand or was just bluffing. But after a while, Su Cheng said impatiently, not even my wife has looked at me with such deep affection. You looking at me like that will get me beat by my wife, do you know that? Lin Chugxiu chuckled, and she instinctively playfully punched Su Cheng on the arm. After she did that, she suddenly paused for a moment. She hadn't seen Su Cheng like this in a long time, and this kind of relaxing feeling brought them back to their childhood sweetheart days. Tevei almost coughed out blood, this amount of bullying was getting way out of hand. He was already having a tough time from losing all the money, and now he had to sit and watch those two flirt. He muttered in his heart, just you wait. Later I will get you to put everything you own as collateral. Just wait for when I get a good hand. But for this round, he still cowardly folded. Su Cheng snorted. After staring at me for that long? What a waste of time. Then, he took back his chips. If they were in Europe, Tevei would have already flipped the table and jumped on Su Cheng. But, it was clearly not in his place to cause a scene at this casino. The dealer continued to deal. Su Cheng looked at his hand, but this time, he didn't throw in 50 million right away like before. Tevei got a decent hand, so he might give it a shot. What happened? Why didn't you throw in your pile of money right away this time? Tevei sneered. Su Cheng pouted. Oh, I thought you didn't want me to raise 50 million at once, which would allow you to win money fast, so this time I'm just throwing in 1 million. You can take your time and win all the money back. Then, he threw in 1 million yuan worth of chips. Tevei seized this opportunity right away, thinking that newbies like Su Cheng were always too obvious with whether they had a good hand or bad hand. Just like in the past 3 rounds, he would arrogantly throw in 50 million to crush him, but at the same time, the moment he got a bad hand, he actually didn't dare to gamble with a lot of money. Seeing Su Cheng's 1 million yuan move, Tevei felt like it was his time to stand up, be a man, and assert his dominance. 5 million. He finally got the chance to shout out his amount. Before Tevei could even finish his manly shout of the word 5 million, Su Cheng pushed his mountain of chips again into the center of the table. Raise or no? Su Cheng directly asked. Tevei's face immediately twisted, like he was fed a mouthful of horseshit. What they, not playing by the books. Then, he took another look at his hand, same suit. That's right, it wasn't a bad hand at all, why would he be a coward? But if he puts down another 50 million and lost, then that was another 1.5% of his shares in this casino gone. At the thought of this, Tevei turned to look at Tim, shooting him a look of I need some advice. Tim calmly analyzed the indifferent expression on Su Cheng's face, and he calmly said to Tevei, there's a saying in China, take your chances and gamble. Your bicycle can become a motorcycle, your dirt can become gold. Your hand is completely good enough to gamble against him. Tevei thought about it and felt he was right. He was indeed too suppressed by having too much concern. It was just a gamble, and he had 3 cards of the same suit, and strictly speaking, the odds were completely on his side this round. After a long moment of pondering, Teve made up his mind. At the same time, he narrowed his eyes, looked at Su Cheng and said, "You still want to bluff? Let me tell you. This time, I will let you cough up the principal plus interest. 50 million, I raise." Then, he immediately pushed the 50 million yuan in chips into the center of the table. "Very nice, I like it when my opponent is straightforward. I didn't want to play on an empty stomach while having to endure your dead fish face which affects my appetite. If this is the case, I'll raise again, 50 million. How about you?" Teve completely didn't expect Su Cheng to raise again. Tim said on his side, counting the cards that were already played, the odds of him getting 3 cards of the same suit is only 12%, and a straight of the same suit is only 5%, which means your odds of winning is 88%. "So, Mr. Teve, I think you can give it a go this round." Teve was still in a tough mental battle. In fact, even if he won with the current amount, it would only be him winning back the money that Su Cheng originally won from him, so he was still not the winner in the end. His ambitious goal was to win over all of Su Cheng's assets. But to achieve that, he needed more cash as chips to force Su Cheng to put more on the line as well. At the thought of this, he directly pulled out 5% of the 20% he originally had in the casino, and exchanged it for 150 million yuan. Then, he pushed it all into the center of the table and said, 150 million, do you have the balls to keep on playing? In Teve's heart, he coldly snorted, "It's not just you that can scare off the opponent with a big pile of money. It's 150 million this time, and if you have a bad hand, I don't believe that you will have the balls to keep on playing." Indeed, Su Cheng narrowed his eyes, looking all tense. On his side, Lin Chuxia was worried that Su Cheng would fall into the abyss of gambling and end up losing all of his money, so she tugged on Su Cheng's sleeve and said, "I think we should let it go. If you don't raise, it's fine if we lose. After all, it's just us returning the money you originally won." Su Cheng nodded, but he changed the topic and asked Lin Chuxia, "Chuxia, after marrying you for so long, it seems like I've never given you a symbolic wedding gift, right?" Lin Chuxia was dumbfounded for a moment, and then she whispered, "Why are you mentioning this?" Su Cheng smiled. "After I win, I will buy you a gift." Lin Chuxia was immediately a little embarrassed upon hearing this, and she didn't know how to reply. She immediately rolled her eyes and turned to the side, not talking to him anymore. To be honest, it was their first time flirting like this, and Lin Chuxia was completely not used to it. Her snow-white face began blushing as her heartbeat accelerated. To be honest, Su Cheng indeed ran out of money on his card, and he obviously wouldn't be putting his real estate on the line since it was too troublesome. So, thick-skinnedly, he turned to Lin Chuxia and asked, "Honey, can you let me borrow some money to play show hand?" Lin Chuxia immediately laughed, not sure if she should be angry or not as she thought, "So it turned out that you were saying sweet words to get me to lend you money?" "But," she snorted and replied, "I made a little less than 200 million during these years of work, if you lose all this money then I will have to sell myself to the company." Although that was what she said, Lin Chuxia still stood up with her wallet and went with the casino staff to get chips. Seeing that Su Cheng was really going to raise, Teve became nervous. On the side, Tim assured him, "You must be patient in order to get this big fish.